Hi everyone, this is Jan. I hope your day is going well for you. And I am going to start oil painting for this little painting that I'm going to be showing you. And most of my videos, I think almost all of them, are on acrylic. And I have come across some water-soluble oils. And I use the Artisan Water mixable oil color, and I want to try doing a few oil paintings, small ones, not real big ones. And this was my book that was released in 2000, so it's 20 some years old. And this one was done in oil painting. So if any of you are interested in furthering your education in florals done in oils, this book is still available on Amazon and sometimes eBay, Etsy. I've seen it in several locations. Some toll and decorative shops still have it, so it's still out there. You just need to do a Google search for the title of the book, Jann's Fabulous Florals, and you can come across one for yourself if you want more information on floral painting. So the back of this, that's the back cover, and it has worksheets in it. You have patterns, full patterns. Of different florals and different flowers. They're not all the same. That's the cover one. So there's a variety of different things in here. And there are some worksheets in here. There's a worksheet. And I think there's one more on the poppies. So this is a really nice book that you can have in your library and refer it back to it every now and then. So I'm not going to quit painting in acrylics, but I'm going to paint in oils and acrylics for those of you on YouTube. Okay, so there's that. Now what I have in front of me is a pattern that I am using for the painting that I'm doing today. Now if you want this pattern, what you can do is you can screenshot it. Give you a few seconds to go ahead and screenshot this, and you can use this pattern for your own personal reference on painting. Paint as many paintings as you want to using these roses. Now what you can't do is you can't sell this and make a profit off of selling the pattern, because the pattern was something I just drew out so that you would have something to use whenever you do roses, because a lot of times I do the same type of rose. And you can use this pattern. You can have different angles of the roses. See, you can turn them that way. It doesn't have to be in the exact pattern that I have here. So then what I did was I arranged them on this little 10 by 10 canvas the way I thought I might like to have them. Now I think when I originally started this one, I think it was this way, now that I'm thinking about it, because I remember that I wanted one of these to be touching the top one. I wanted the top one up into the left hand corner and this one in the bottom. So this is the angles that I chose to have in this painting. So go ahead and set the pattern aside. Now on your water mixable oils, they are oils, even though you can dilute them when you're putting on washes and different things like that with your water, but you have to remember they are oils, which means you can't use your acrylic brushes if that you're currently using. You want to keep your brushes separate from the oils and separate from the acrylics, okay? So whenever I did the background on this, I used an acrylic base, which is the Folk Art Greenscape. It's kind of a gray color. And I also used my glazing brush that I use all the time for acrylics. So there's not any difference. It's all acrylic for the base coat that I have on here. Now, one thing to remember about acrylics and oils when you're combining them on your paintings, your acrylics, you cannot paint acrylic on top of oil. Your acrylics go on first, let those dry, and then you can start to paint with your oil paints. So you can't reverse it. Once you have oil paints on here, you can't turn around and then do acrylic on top of that, okay? You can do acrylics under oils, but not acrylics on top of oils. So what I did with this backing here is I just wanted a color on here other than the white canvas. And you'll notice I have some looks like little waffle effects. Now that was strictly by accident. When I wet this glazing brush and I started painting it on, my bristles started separating. So as I was doing the painting, I noticed it left a little waffle effect. And I thought, well, I kind of like that. So I kept that effect all through the little painting. And I thought that would be kind of a neat textured effect on this. And like I say, it's totally by accident. I don't know if you can duplicate that or whatever. You'd have to have a brush that started splitting on you like this one. But anyway, that's where I got that waffle effect. And what I'll do is I'll come back with the oils and I'll start my painting on top of this. And I'll probably cover up most of it anyway because I plan on bringing some white oils into this area. We'll have greens. I'm going to feather out the greens for the leaves. We're going to have pink roses, and this one of these is going to be a yellow one. I'm not quite for sure which one I'm going to put yellow, but we're going to try these new colors that I got. I have a magenta, and I think I have a permanent rose. Those didn't come in the kit. And then I'm going to do a yellow rose along with that. So I want to try these new colors here that I got. Of course, pink's my favorite color. Pink and lavender or purple. Those are all favorite colors that I like for flowers. And then what I'll do is I'll just use the complements of other colors to put in here. So we'll just come along and start this little journey. I do not know what this painting will look like when I finish it. We're just going to do a little at a time and go from there. Now, as far as your palette goes, I use a disposable palette. This is like a 9x12. It is for oils because it's waxed. You want to make sure that your palette is a waxed disposable palette for oils. That way it won't soak through. And when you put your paint out, make sure you just put out little dabs of paint, okay? Don't put out like a half a tube of paint because you'll end up wasting it and you can't put it back in the tube, unfortunately. So just put out small amounts. Now what I'll do is I will I think most of these might be starting to dry out when I did the other little painting, but I could even use the area over here. You know, I don't have to throw this away yet. When you're finished with it, you just peel it off, and I have a little disposable deal that I put all the oil stuff in, keep it separated from the acrylics. So anyway, get your palette out. Also, whenever you're using your or cleaning your brush, being this is water soluble, I have, this is just a little container Mona Lisa cleaning tank. You get these, I get them at Michael's. You probably get them on Amazon too. And I have it labeled, this is water with 2 or 3 drops of Dawn liquid soap in it. And you can see I just did, I got the bubbles there. And whenever I'm changing color and I don't want to dirty brush what I'm doing, then I just swish my brush along the bottom here. It's got a little screen on it, and then that will clean off the excess paint, and then I blot it on a paper towel, and then I'm ready to pick up a different color on my palette there. A lot of times I do dirty brushing with oils and acrylics. Now, as far as brushes go, I like using I have some old Bob Ross natural bristle brushes. This is a 1/2 inch. If you don't have these, I don't think they make these anymore. They have synthetic brushes now. The last kit I ordered, you can tell this one's vanilla. That one's white. Tell how old this one is. But anyway, the last kit I got, it's synthetic. And so if you bought a Bob Ross kit or whatever, you would use the synthetic one. Now you can also use your acrylic brushes if it's a new pack, but don't mix them in with your acrylics. You know, save them in a special jar. Have all my oil brushes in one jar, my acrylics in another, so that I don't intermix any of these. So other than that, oh, and also I use, if I'm going to use a little linseed oil so that my paint flows a little nicer, my kit came with a water mixable linseed oil, so that I used that, and I just put it in a little container I had here. But this will extend your dry time, the linseed oil. So what I have done is I went ahead and ordered the Artisan's Water Mixable Fast Drying Medium. And what this will do is allow, and I put it just in a little top from a little jar, and I'll use this rather than the linseed oil because I want this to dry faster than if I just let it dry on its own. Now the drying time has been really pretty good. This little painting, you know, this was just an introduction, and it has been, today's the 4th day, and it's a little it's tacky, but I'm not getting any paint off. So this one I used the linseed oil, and it's taking about 4 days for it to tack up. Now to completely dry, it would take probably a couple of weeks for it to totally dry on that. So I'm going to try the fast drying medium and see if I can get this to really dry up quite a bit. So I think that's it. Now if you want your pattern on here, make sure you use tracing paper for your pattern, and then use graphite paper for tracing your pattern. Don't use carbon paper, use a graphite paper Also, if you want to erase this graphite, let's say you make a mistake, you can get these gum erasers, and they will take your graphite off so that you can reapply it to some other area there. So I think I've covered everything as far as what you're going to need. So go ahead and just get your canvas ready, put your pattern on, and then put a background on. If you want to put a background on, you don't have to. I just didn't want it white. I wanted another color under there because I am going to be adding other colors in oil to the backdrop. We're going to be intermixing other colors. Alright everyone, so I will be back when I start this, and we'll go step by step on how to create a pretty little oil painting. Alright, see you in a little bit. Okay, so here we are. We're going to go ahead and start on putting in some leaves and that sort of thing. Now the first thing I did was get out some colors that I wanted to use for doing our leaves. And what I have here is permanent sap green. Now I did have to order this because it didn't come in my kit. This did come in my kit. It's a medium yellow. This one is a light yellow, and that one is yellow ochre. This is the blue that came with the kit, and it is, let's see, what kind of blue is that? French ultramarine blue. And then this is some of the yellow and just a dab of the green mixed together to make like a citrus green. Okay? So the first thing that I did was I used my palette knife, and I have a little bitty tiny palette knife. It has a little bitty end on it, and I love this thing because I can get it up into small spaces here. Now the first thing I did was add some of the blue, the French ultramarine blue, to the areas that are recessed back here, like this little area here. This one, be this one right here, maybe this one. These are spread out further so that you can go ahead and print this out. I wanted to show you the areas there because when I got on here, it kind of covered them up. So see these little indentions where the petals meet? It comes right back up in there. That's where I added the dark blue, and sometimes I put a little bit of the sap green with it, and it came into sap green mixed with the blue. And all I did was just take a little bit of paint on my palette knife. You can see I just have a little bead of it, and I put it on my canvas. Now you can hear me scraping that because I don't want it thick. I'm just spreading it out a little bit, and I have it pretty rough. Now once I got down into this area, this is the center of where all three of these roses meet. That is straight yellow. I want that really, really, really bright. And once I got the colors laid on, I took my palette knife and I just mooshed them together in a circle. Just kind of moosh them, let them run into one another. Kind of like that. Same thing over here. Because we're going to walk our color out, I just wanted to get the color on there. And a palette knife is an easy way to put it on so that it doesn't overblend your color. Now remember, now I'm going to wipe this on a paper towel, and if I want more of the yellow, see, I want to keep this kind of bright. If I lose my brightness, I can add a little more yellow to it. I could even put a little white on the top, but I don't think I want it that bright. Okay, just moosh it. Keep your palette knife straight this way. don't dig into your canvas. You're just floating that palette knife right on top and letting that color just go around kind of in circles. Okay? So now we have the color on there. So one of the advantages of oil is that I don't have to worry about this drying really fast on me. So that when I want to come back and I want to add some of the greenery and fillers and walk this color out, I can do so. Now I'm just going to dip into a little bit of this fast drying medium on my natural bristle. Just dip the edges in, and then I'm just going to come up to my palette here, and I'm just going to work it into the brush. There we go. I added a little bit of the linseed with it too because it is a tacky type substance, so added a little bit of linseed oil with it also. So with that, my brush is dressed with a little linseed oil. Next thing I want to do, I'm going to turn this way. I want to walk out some of this color on the edges. I want to put a little filler in here, and I want it kind of soft. I don't want it real covered up like this is right here. So I'm just picking up color I already have on here, and I am just going to use, I think I'm going to go ahead and use the linseed oil with this instead of the, because it seems to not be as tacky. So I'm going to dip into a little linseed oil here. If I get too much, blot it on a paper towel, come right back over. So I'm just blotting in some color here. That's the beauty of these oils. I can just come in and just blot in little colors, work it in. I can work it in a flip-flop stroke here. If I just want to smear out color, oops, which I might want to do that first, is just smear out some of the color, and it does still show that waffle stitch. Thinking of sewing. I do sew also. That's why I said that. Anyway, walk your color out a little bit. Pick up a little of the blue. See how I walked the blue out? See, pick up a little blue. Now, move that blue over here. That's what I like about oils, is you can just pick up different colors and you can just scoot them over someplace else. Just use what paint you have right there. You don't have to. And I'm working faster than I normally would because I'm so used to working in acrylics the last 5 years that going back to oil, I have to get used to I don't have to work so fast. I can just piddle. Okay, so now we've created a stain that is up in here. This is dark down in here, so let's go over to, I'm going to turn the canvas here, and let's go over to this one. Okay, again, I'm going to pick up a little linseed oil, not the fast dry, just the linseed oil. Pick up a little in here, and I'm going to scoot this around out here. I will be having bushes come out this way. So let's go ahead and stain that with some of the green here. I don't want to lose all my green color though. I mean all my darks that I put in here. I can reapply them, but I'm just adding a little bit of color. Now let me go back in here. I can pick up a little more color on that. So you can see how I'm just kind of scrubbing color in. Okay, let's go over here. I'm also working some of that linseed oil into the canvas. Remember, I've got an acrylic backing here, so it is, dry back there. And I like to have it a little bit blended around those flowers so that whenever I put in the petals, I'll have a nice blended edge back here, and it'll all blend together. So I'm going to dip a little more linseed oil. No, I'm just taking what's on the brush. I'm not actually picking up any extra paint. This is just what's still in my brush here, so just kind of working around the flowers. And as long as this is damp, I can continue. Once I start the roses, I can continue to add some rose colors in here, which that is what I will do. Right now, I'm just kind of concentrating on the, I don't remember which way this goes. Okay, one more turn. I'm sorry to keep turning this on you. Maybe I ought to mark the corner so I can remember. Okay, so we have stained the canvas, and I'm looking around. I'm tilting my head here, and I'm just making sure I have some linseed oil along the outside here. I'm going to go into here just a little bit. You see how that brought that color out there? Just a little bit. I don't want to get rid of all my pretty color. But I do want to get this out here stained with some linseed oil. Don't use your fast dry, use your linseed oil, because I want this to remain wet. You know, kind of like when Bob Ross puts his clear medium on. Well, that's what we're doing here. We're just putting on a clear medium, which is the linseed oil, so that this canvas can remain wet. And I can go back when I start these roses. I can go back and I can blend in some rose colors in this, because not on a dry canvas. So get that spread around your canvas. And I just mostly need it. I don't think I'm going into the corners very much, but I can put a little oil up there. Let's see, a little bit more down this way. And this would be the same concept as spreading magic white on your canvas. But I don't want to color because I want my background to show. I want the little waffles to show. Okay, I want to keep this like it is. But like I say, you can pick up color from here and move it over here. Yep. And we'll be putting leaves coming out different directions. We'll be doing all of that before we even start our roses. Because I want those petals, when I start doing petals, I want it to bring in whatever colors we have out there. Now, what if I want to pull in? Now, I have a little bit of this yellow right here. It's a medium color. I'll pull that back in. What if I put a little bit of that out here? That's a pretty color, huh? See how when I start adding other colors out here, you just pick up a little bit on your brush here. I'm just using just the corner of my brush, very little. See, it's very little paint right there. Let's find another spot for it. Maybe I want a little bit over here. So what I do is I dab it on one side and I use the other side to blend it in. Maybe those are little bitty flowers that you can put out there. We don't know. Okay, let's add a little bit more. Let's add a few of them up in here. Those could be some little blooms of some sort up in here. Just spark an idea. Maybe those would be real cute up in there. So just add a few. The color's nice. I like the color. But that's what I mean by adding little colors around your painting also. Working colors in. And those will become little flowers of some sort, maybe in the shadow there. But I couldn't have these a soft blend unless I had the linseed oil already on there. It wouldn't do the same thing if I put this in the middle up here. See, it's dry. You can't get that soft blend what you have the linseed oil on here. So that's the purpose of the linseed oil. Okay, my canvas looks really good. Got linseed oil all around the canvas here, just a nice thin coat. See, I can pick up a little of that green there and add it over here if I want to. Okay. So the next thing that I would do is, let me dress my brush here. When I say dress my brush, I'm just talking about going one side, go the other side, and I just have a little bit of the linseed oil on here, bringing it back into a chisel. That's a chisel. Oops, this way. Now see how pointed that is? And I want to create some movement here. Gotta put some little branches and stuff. Where are we going with this painting? Okay, what directions are we going? I'm going out this direction. When we get down here, well, I'm going to curve it this way, and then we're going to come out, curve it this way, maybe up this direction. Pick up a little paint, and then back down this way too. Okay, now I can barely see that. Now I could pick up a little bit of the green on my brush, just a little bit of the sap green, dress it back into a chisel. Now let's go back. Nope, needs to be darker. Okay, we can do darker. Okay, got it back into a chisel. There we go. Swirl it that way. Swirl this way. Okay. Now pick up a little bit more. This is just thinned out linseed oil and sap green. If you're doing acrylics, you would have your thinned out your water with your acrylic paint. Now remember, just because I'm doing this in oil doesn't mean that our acrylic painters can't paint this too. They can. They just have to use the water. Still follow the same type of instruction, except you won't be putting linseed oil all over your canvas. You could be using a slow dry medium. And I've talked about that on these roses for acrylics, so if you're not familiar with that, go back and check my video and it will show you how to use these extenders when you're using acrylic. But you can certainly do this same pattern for acrylics as we're doing this in oil. Okay, lots of little stems. I don't know which way I'm going here. We don't know what we're going to put on them yet. I'm just getting them ready, because I definitely want some little something on these leaves, but I haven't decided which type of leaf I want on it yet. Sometimes when I start doing these paintings, well, I just do them as I go. Ideas just come to me when I'm creating them. I might take a 30-minute break or whatever, when I go from shot to shot here. I don't paint for 2 hours straight because my back won't allow me to do that. I can't sit here this long to do that. So I take a little break and think about, okay, yeah, what would I like to have in here? So I just kind of go at a whim what I see at the time that I'm painting. Okay, so now we have some branches coming off that. That's nice and light behind there. We've kind of got our movement in here of what we want, and we can go ahead and start adding some small leaves back here, some other types of filler. I'll think about what I want back here and what type of leaf and foliage that I want, and we will get started on that, finish that, and then we'll go to our roses. The roses are going to be last, and the reason for that is whenever I do my petals, I want this all to be wet back here so that when I put the color for the rose on, it pulls this background color in also. And that's what I want. I want it to look transparent. And to get it to look transparent, I'm just putting a little more linseed oil around that rose where I'm going to be pulling those petals in. I'll make sure I have some of it close to where those petals are going to come in. Okay, everybody, get this much done. Okay, and then when we come back, we'll go ahead and do some more foliage, and then we'll start on our roses. All right, see you in a few. So now we're back, and as you can see, I've been trying out a little bit of flowers with my palette knife, and I've been having a lot of fun just adding some of these flowers with this small little palette knife that I like so much. I don't even know what size it is. It's so old. It's probably 20 years old. But what I did next was I started picking up some color, like the yellow, the real light yellow, cat yellow medium, no, lemon yellow. Okay, so what I did was I picked up a little lemon yellow. I'll just pick up some right now, and see I have just a little bead of it right there. And what I did was I come over to my canvas, and wherever I have my stems, I added like just a little dot. You can hear my canvas kind of scraping, and you can leave like a little bud type flower right there on some of the ends of these. So I went through and I scattered some of the yellow on, just intermixed it in all of these locations. And then after I did that and got the yellow on, then I came back with a little bit of white, which not much, just a little bit. And wherever I wanted to add a little bit of white, like a little bud, I would add a little bit of just pure white. And when I'm doing this, I'm not scraping into the canvas with the tip of the knife. I am laying it horizontal, and I'm letting that knife just glide right across the top of that paint. Pick up a little bit more. I'm still horizontal here. I'm not digging into that canvas, and I just make a little bud. Just a little dot, a little dab. Maybe it's a little petal. Some of these I could add, like maybe it's just a little petal there. Some of them are longer strokes, longer dabs. See how it kind of sputters here, and you get a little bit of dry canvas there. That's what I want. I just want it to kind of scoot across the top of this, like you would be putting snow on mountains. That's how you do it too. That's how Bob Ross and them use their palette knife. Just have it scoot right across that paint under there. So anyway, I thought it looked kind of neat to have these little blooms up here. And then when I came back, I thought, okay, I can use this orangey color that I had already mixed up. Maybe that's just a little center for these blooms. That would be kind of neat in there to have that. Maybe there's a little center right here. Maybe one right there. And so that just added to the little flower look, I thought. So I put a few of these on so that it might look like a little bloom right there. And I could carry some of this little orange up in here so that it kind of blends in, kind of harmonizes all over. I'm scooting, just scooting. You know, maybe that color comes down in here. Just scoot a little of that orange, but see how it just scoots across the top there? That's what you want. You just want it to scoot. You don't want to dig into the canvas. Just scuffle it right along there. So now that I have some color, and I thought it kind of looked like little blooms, I'll go ahead and leave that. And then what I wanted to do was put some little leaves on some of these stems I still have in here. Now this is a little flat brush. It's a number 4. It's an old Dorothy Dent brush. And I used to love to paint Dorothy Dent's landscapes. I mean, we're talking 50 years ago. So, like I say, all these really wonderful painters, we all painted in oil. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of the green on my brush, a little bit of the sap green, and I'm going to make some little basic one-stroke leaves. Okay, so wherever I have, I can see a stem right here. Oops, a little more. So it'll show up a little more. And you're not going to be able to see that. So let me do this again. So I have a stem right here. I'm just going to do some little one-stroke leaves right on some of these. Okay, touch, lift, pull. And I don't have to go real slow. You know, I was just going slow so I could show you. And they're just little plops. Plop down. Picking up more green. I want some greenery in here. Okay. Let's plop some little greenery in here. Okay, you don't even have to do a real direct leaf stroke. Just some little plops of green color. Okay, there we go. And you might want to come back and establish a few of your stems. Okay, dressing my brush. That's all I'm doing. Alright, let's go to this side over here. Okay, let's put it back in a few of these stems. And they pretty much show up here. Okay, just keep adding them. Little plops of greenery. Okay, not real big. Okay, let's go to the other side over here. I have to do them a certain way, or they end up wonky. Okay, here we go. Just want a few of these stems defined. Okay, here we go. Plop, 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 plop. Just hit and miss some of your areas. Some of them are going to be fatter, some of them are going to be smaller. That's okay. It's the way nature is. Okay. Alright. Now let's see. This one's in the bottom. This one's at the top. There we go. It's still confusing to me which side is up. So, there we go. There's these little leaves here. Let's put a stem on some of them. And once this sets up and we even get our roses in there, we can always come back and add some other little things in there. But for right now, I think this is enough. Little flowers. Don't know what they are. They're just little palette knife flowers. Some kind of little wildflower fillers. You know, not too much stem showing here. Let's break that up. Yeah. So I don't have a direct line. I break some of those lines. Here we go. Okay, everybody, go ahead and get that much done, and I think we will be ready for our roses, because we can always come back to this background and add other things wet and wet. That's the beauty of working with oils. I can come back tomorrow and this will still be wet and pick up where I left off right now. Okay, get ready for roses.